very close to Grand Bahama now. It made a landfall in the last half hour. Category 4. The winds were 130 miles an hour. And we have a storm now. It is moving northwest at about 13 miles an hour. There's still an inner eye here, and there's another outer eye that's trying to develop out ahead of that and having a tough time doing it. But in the last hour, hour and a half, it is getting a little bit more defined, and we may see this actually collapse. These are the strongest winds, and this form as our new eye wall, which would be a little bit of a benefit simply because much weaker winds here than we have near the very core of the hurricane. Some of this is starting to work into coastal Palm Beach County, and these are some stronger winds. These winds are likely 60, maybe even 70 miles an hour. So you see how close this is to us at this point. So we're watching the wind reports. In the next 15 to 20 minutes, we'll have a really good idea of how strong this will be. It's obviously lifting northwest, but at the same time, it's pushing all of this core winds into our area, South Florida. So here's the timeline. This is later tonight. This will be around midnight. We're at 9 p.m. at this point. The latest coordinates have winds at 130. That's a Category 4 hurricane moving northwest at 13. The pressure 939. Pretty impressive. Category 4, and the track late overnight off the Treasure Coast, and because of the angle here, it's actually closer to Vero and Fort Pierce than it is right now. Still a Category 4 with winds at 130. That is 2 in the morning. And then moving up the coastline, paralleling the coast, a landfall possible around the Cape. That would be on Friday morning, and then a big wraparound across Charleston, and eventually a big loop back down into the Bahamas as a tropical storm. This position is later Tuesday, early Wednesday, potentially in the same spot that it is now, but a much weaker storm. Very unlikely to get a storm that's moving south to be so strong as it makes it here. But here's another look at a big lightning flare up, and some shear markers have fired up near the eye of this. Grand Bahama here. It made a landfall, as I said, Category 3 hurricane in about the last half hour, 45 minutes. Now it's starting to make its track toward the northern Treasure Coast, so it'll end up in this area here late after around midnight or shortly after. And so far our wind gusts, our maximum wind gusts approach 50 miles an hour. Coastal Palm Beach County, and almost 50 actually in Port St. Lucie, 41 in Vero so far. And here's one of our forecast models. Actually there's the current wind gusts. So we're looking at those winds anywhere from about 35 to 45, almost 50. And the wind field has improved a little bit for us because the storm is a little farther to the east, which is nice to see. But 10:30 tonight, there's a hurricane force winds are just off of Jupiter. We have tropical storm force winds. That's already verifying. We're already seeing tropical storm force gusts of about 40, 50, even some unofficial reports over 60 miles an hour. 1 in the morning, some of the hurricane winds working across the Treasure Coast. They may avoid Palm Beach County. They'll be so close. We're going to watch it to see if that shifts at all. But at this point, it looks like those really strong hurricane force winds may just stay off the coast of Palm Beach County. 2:30 in the morning, still working its way north. Vero Beach picking up very, very strong north and northwest winds. And here's one of our computer models. It's the GFS model that's been doing a pretty good job at this storm. This is why I hesitate to lower the winds in Palm Beach County, because this model, which has a reasonable position for the center later tonight, just offshore of the Treasure Coast, still has a pretty significant wind field. So we're certainly not done with the storm, even in Palm Beach County. A big improvement 4, 5, and 6 a.m. for most of the viewing area, the exception being Indian River County, which will still hold on to some strong winds through at least the late morning. And then we get this push of a westerly wind coming in, and eventually southwesterly, but much, much lower by late Friday and Saturday before it really starts to finally taper off. And of course, the breakdown of what we can expect as we go through the next couple of days. And I believe James Whelan's going to join me with some of the numbers and the breakdown of the winds. And we're adjusting these numbers because if you think back the last couple of days, the down the line track was pretty much between us and Grand Bahama. That track is, we're on the eastern side of that. We just had a landfall in Grand Bahama, so we're staying out of the very, very strong winds so far. But because of the close approach on the Treasure Coast, still looking at some threats for hurricane force winds there.